The $2 million dock crumbled before my eyes, torn apart by federal agents as my neighbor's life unraveled in real time. It all started with a ridiculous 911 call from my HOA-obsessed neighbor, Linda, who lost her mind because I let two friends camp on my own property. Yes, she called emergency services over a tent in my backyard. Linda, married to a high-powered attorney, thought her connections made her invincible. She had no idea her extravagant dock was hiding a secret that would ruin her. What was it? Buckle up, because this story will leave you speechless. It was a quiet Friday evening at my lakefront cabin, a place I inherited from my grandfather, Walter, 3 years ago. As a freelance interior designer, I cherished the serenity of the water, a refuge from the chaos of the world. That night, my best friends, Tom and Sarah, came up from the city to relive old times. We set up a small tent behind the oaks Walter planted in the 60s and lit a modest fire in the stone pit he'd built decades ago. We were roasting marshmallows, laughing about college pranks, when Linda's shrill voice crackled through the night, reporting illegal camping and a fire hazard at 42 Lakeshore Drive. The fire hazard? A contained pit, safely nestled among stones. The camping? A two-person tent on my own land, barely visible from the road. The dispatcher's exasperated tone said it all. Address 44 again. HOA Queen strikes back. Linda was notorious for her petty complaints, but I never imagined her tantrum would expose her own massive crime. From my humble 10-foot wooden dock, built by Walter to blend with the lake's natural beauty, I could see Linda's monstrosity of 40-foot concrete platform, painted blinding white with LED lights that turned the water into a runway. It screamed excess, a stark contrast to Walter's philosophy of respecting the land. He'd taught me, during sunset talks on that dock, that this cabin was a responsibility, not just a house. Your great-grandfather fought to keep this lake free for all, he'd said, pointing across the water. Someday, you'll protect it too. I didn't know then that Linda's overreach would thrust me into that fight. Linda stormed over in her pristine tennis outfit despite never playing her face flushed with rage. This is a high-end community, not a campground, she snapped, as if our mores were a crime against humanity. I stood, brushing crumbs off my jeans, and calmly explained we were on my property, not breaking any laws. But Linda, trembling with entitlement, wasn't having it. HOA rules are clear, she hissed. This degrades property values. You'll see what happens when you ignore standards. She spun away, already dialing her phone. Tom raised an eyebrow. Who was that? Sarah muttered about suburban tyrants, but I watched Linda pace her deck, sensing this was only the beginning. An hour later, police spotlights flooded our campsite, turning our evening into a crime scene. The officer, clearly annoyed, checked our IDs and confirmed everything was legal. She's not going to stop, he warned, glancing at Linda's house, where she spied from her window. She calls us twice a month. Good luck. I had no clue her $2 million dock was built on a lie that would destroy her. What do you think it was? Drop your guess below. The war escalated at 6 a.m. the next morning with Linda's industrial leaf blower roaring outside my window. It wasn't about leaves, it was psychological warfare. For 2 weeks, she blasted it daily at the earliest legal hour, smirking as she aimed debris at my property. Then came the HOA notices, non-conforming vegetation, fire hazard, landscaping violations. Each was signed with Linda's flamboyant signature, as if she were royalty. Her husband's law firm, Carter and Associates, sent daily emails threatening liens and forced sales, dripping with legalese meant to scare me into submission. It was a calculated campaign to drive me out. The worst blow came during a video call with a luxury hotel chain, a $500,000 contract that could have secured my career. I was pitching sustainable designs, reclaimed wood, recycled glass when Linda's leaf blower screamed to life, drowning me out. Are you at an airport? The client asked, confused. I apologized, but the damage was done. The noise stopped the second I ended the call, and Linda's smug glance confirmed it was sabotage. That evening, the hotel chain emailed. They were exploring other options. My biggest opportunity gone. Sitting in my dark office, staring at the lake, I felt rage like never before. Linda wasn't just a nuisance, she was destroying my livelihood. I dug into her threats, analyzing email headers. Every notice, Every legal scare came from Carter and Associates' internal network. Linda was weaponizing her husband's firm like a personal army. Infuriating, but it gave me clarity. This wasn't legitimate. Then came a knock. George, my elderly neighbor, stood there, clutching a watering can, his face heavy with worry. "You look like Walter did, fighting for this neighborhood's soul," he said. He revealed Linda's reign of terror driving out families over playground colors or shed heights. But he knew something more. Walter's 1987 battle against developers trying to privatize the lake. "He saved public access with documentation," George said, handing me a worn note in Walter's script, "Survey Records, Box 47, County Archive, September 1987. The next morning, I navigated the county basement's dusty archives. Box 47 held a treasure: 1,987 survey maps, easement documents, and Walter's correspondence. They proved a 15-foot public walkway along the western shoreline Linda's dock invaded by 30 feet, stealing $1.5 million in community property. My hands shook as I photographed every page. Walter had foreseen this fight, preserving truth for the future. At the county surveyor's office, Robert Klein confirmed the violation. Overlaying the old map with satellite imagery, he gasped, "Her dock's 35 feet into public land. That's theft on a massive scale." Linda's 2019 permit promised a 10-foot wooden dock. She built a concrete behemoth. It was fraud. I compiled a 50-page report: maps, photos, calculations showing her environmental and legal violations. But Linda was watching, snapping photos of me, her car lingering across the street. Her harassment slowed, a calm that unnerved me more than her attacks. Then, Linda struck. While I waited for the EPA to act, she filed an anonymous complaint, accusing me of environmental crimes. She'd photographed me repairing Walter's 1960s stone steps, editing the images to look like illegal excavation. Her EPA report claimed I was dumping materials into the lake, backed by falsified photos. 2 weeks later, EPA Inspector Daniels arrived, treating me like a criminal. He showed me warped images of my repairs, threatening $50,000 fines and charges. As investigators combed my property, I sat on Walter's dock, clutching his maps, whispering, "I have the truth, but what if her lies win?" I went nuclear. My 70-page counter-report refuted her claims and exposed her dock. It included proof of her photo manipulation, Walter's records, and expert testimony on her environmental damage. I delivered it to the EPA, county, and HOA, framing Linda as a criminal deflecting blame. It was all or nothing. The climax came at an HOA meeting. Linda called to expel me. She stood at the podium, waving her fake photos, calling me an environmental terrorist. The room was packed, neighbors nodding along until EPA and county officials burst in. Inspector Daniels took the mic. "Mrs. Carter, your dock violates federal law, stealing $1 million in public land." The crowd gasped. He issued a 30-day demolition order. County Officer Klein added, "Your false EPA complaint risks criminal charges." George stood, demanding an HOA audit, igniting a revolt. Neighbors shared years of Linda's abuses, their fear replaced by fury. Linda slumped, muttering, "My whole life." 3 months later, her dock was gone, the shoreline restored. Linda faced $375,000 in fines and fees, resigned as HOA president, and awaits charges. I hosted Tom and Sarah again, roasting marshmallows. As Linda passed, I waved one. "Legal and delicious, Linda." George chuckled. "That's justice, sweet as a marshmallow." The lake gleamed, Walter's legacy intact. But what did her husband do when the bills hit? And that audit? Comment part 2 if you want more. Truth wins when you fight for it. Drop your story below.